So the Kevin Durant sweepstakes are picking up. Shams had a report the other day saying conversations will now begin to pick up on a potential trade of Kevin Durant out of Phoenix over the next 2 to 3 weeks. 4 to 6 teams seriously interested in Durant, potentially ahead of the NBA draft. So we could see a Kevin Durant trade happen very, very soon. And Shams saying 4 to 6 teams are seriously interested in Durant, and just going based on what we know, some of the teams that have already been linked to Durant, I would put the following teams in that 4 to 6 teams conversation. I mean, to me, it's Spurs, Rockets, Knicks, Timberwolves. I guess some other teams could include the Nuggets and maybe even the Heat. But I would definitively say 4 teams are Spurs, Rockets, Knicks, Timberwolves. And of course, the San Antonio Spurs are in the mix here. And the reason why I'm making today's video is to talk about what a potential KD to Spurs trade could look like. And you look at the Spurs, they've been heavily rumored in the Giannis Antetokounmpo trade talks. And they've also been linked to Kevin Durant quite a bit. And the thing about KD is it's not going to cost them anywhere near what it would cost them to acquire Giannis. And KD, I know he's turning 37 years old, but he's still one of the premier scorers. He's a plug-and-play player. You can put him in any system, and he works. And can you imagine KD with Victor Wembanyama, De'Aaron Fox, and you can keep some of those younger players that you wouldn't have to part ways with in a KD trade that you would have to trade in a Giannis Antetokounmpo trade package? It makes a lot of sense. And you look at KD going to the San Antonio Spurs, I mean, there seems to be interest there. There was a report the other day that, Durant's camp view San Antonio as a preferred landing spot, and there's been reports of mutual interest since the trade deadline between both sides. And then there was a trade that made its rounds online, particularly on X, and it was a trade made by Weinbach. Basically, the trade is Devin Vassell, Harrison Barnes, and the number 14th overall pick. And when you look at this trade, I mean, this would be a home run deal for the San Antonio Spurs, in my opinion. I know people are saying, I wouldn't want to part ways with Harrison Barnes or a young guy like Vassell for KD, who is turning 37 years old. You look at the makeup of this deal, you are getting Kevin Durant, who, again, can still perform at a high level, who can be that necessary veteran presence alongside guys like Fox. I know he's in his prime now, but Wemby and these younger guys, and really be that piece that allows San Antonio to compete and contend as soon as next season. And you look at this deal, Harrison Barnes, losing him, it would hurt because he was so valuable for the Spurs. He's a guy that you can put in multiple lineups. And Devin Vassell, he's a younger player who you're giving up on in this situation. And you're parting ways with the 14th pick, but when you look at it, you're not parting ways with any of your super important, valuable young guys and assets. You're not parting ways with multiple first-round picks or even the number 2 overall pick, which is presumably going to be Dylan Harper. And you're giving away number 14, where it's not going to be a generational talent. It's not going to be a franchise-altering pick. At number 14, you usually hope you can just land with a really good role player. So when you look at this trade package, if this is what it takes to get KD, and remember, like, KD's asking price, it's going to be the lowest that it's ever been because of his age, because he's a guy that hasn't really done much, I want to say, in the playoffs the last few seasons. Like, his numbers are there, but we know the NBA only remembers what you've done recently. And this is a guy who did not make the playoffs with the Suns, and even when he was in the postseason with the Suns, weren't able to do much of anything. You can get KD now for a very fair price, almost too good of a price. And in this situation, I think this is a no-brainer if you're the San Antonio Spurs. If you can get KD for such a package like this, you do it. Because KD is going to still be super valuable with helping the younger players on this team, and he's going to immediately contribute where you're going to have a shot to go out there in the Wild Wild West and contend. Like KD with Wemby, with Fox, you still keep obviously Stephon Castle, Dylan Harper, like that potential starting five, that is absolutely unreal. If you decide you're going to have the 3-guard lineup, which it looks like the Spurs are going to be doing that if they in fact keep Dylan Harper, because you would have to part ways with Dylan Harper and Stephon Castle in a Giannis trade, plus a whole lot of other assets. So it's like, if you're the Spurs, why would you do that? This is kind of like the best of both worlds. You're not totally giving up on the young rebuilding timeline, but you're still getting a guy who is a star. Like, he is still a superstar. He's a top 15 player in this game who can help you win very soon, and you're not destroying your future or giving up on young guys who can become something special in Harper and Castle. So a deal like this would make so much sense if I'm the San Antonio Spurs. And even if the Spurs don't like the idea of shipping a Harrison Barnes, because again, he did provide a lot of value to this team, maybe they can get away with swapping out Barnes for like Johnson or Branham. And then that deal maybe doesn't get a major drawback for the Suns. Because like, if you're the Phoenix Suns, you got to be realistic about what you can get for KD. You're not going to get a young star. You're looking to replenish draft capital. That's what you're trying to do. So if they can get into the lottery of this year's draft, like, I think that would be, obtaining value. And you're still getting a young player in Vassell. So like Phoenix, like, they're not going to get a home run deal for KD at this juncture. And we know, like, that relationship, it seems like it's beyond repair. Like, it really is a matter of time until a KD trade happens. And the San Antonio Spurs having that second pick in the lottery is super valuable, because number 2 is number 2. And if you end up taking Harper, you're not going to feel it as much if you're surrendering 14. So I think this is amazing value. Like, I would absolutely do this. This is a no-brainer in my opinion. And the San Antonio Spurs, this is a nice little pivot where if they still want to be aggressive and obtain a win now superstar, KD is going to cost them a whole lot less than Giannis Antetokounmpo. So you're not destroying your team's future. You're not blowing up the youth so much so with this deal. And you're still acquiring a guy who, again, is going to just make an immediate impact. And he, with Fox and Wemby, with the young guys you have, like, that is a super, super enticing team in the Western Conference. So I think this would actually have the Spurs as one of the teams to beat. Like, I could see the Spurs take a massive leap in the West next season if they add another offensive talent like Kevin Durant. You just got Fox, you add KD with Wemby, who's expected to make a full recovery from that blood clot. Man, oh man, can the Spurs be major players next season? And again, their future is still intact and bright, even after a deal like this. We're not giving up too much. So let me know your thoughts, Spurs fans. I've seen a lot of discourse, a lot of people not even liking this deal, but me, I would pull the trigger if I was in charge of the San Antonio Spurs. I think this is fair value for KD, and I think it's clear San Antonio does want to get aggressive. They don't want to. It seems like they don't want to be super, super patient. Like, they kind of want to remain competitive while keeping that rebuilding timeline, if you will. So let me know your thoughts on this deal, guys. Do you hate it? Do you love it? Comment down below. Drop a like in the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. That is it for me. It's Luke signing off. Thanks for watching. I will catch you all again in the next one.